Namu MyoHoRenGeKyo. Namu MyoHoRenGeKyo. Namu MyoHoRenGeKyo. Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate your participating in these videos. Like, subscribe, share, download the podcast, the audio podcast, visit the website. Oh, here, just a reminder. There's the website, the first page. If you scroll down a little bit, you get to course study materials. That takes you to this page, which I need to update. Has loads and loads of links for basic information about our practice. And today we're going to continue, may even complete, this amazing Gosho from Dr. Jacqueline Stone's dissertation from 1990. Perhaps that's when it was made available. Might even be a little older than that. The scholarship is wonderful. The translations are really great. And this is a Gosho, a writing of Nichiren's called The Teaching Approved by All Buddhas. We've discussed the meanings of things like all Buddhas, or the Buddhas of past, present, and future, the 3 time periods. All of these are ways of talking about moments, our enlightenment in each thought moment, the 3,000 realms in each thought moment. Moment to moment to moment. We can't isolate a moment. That's not our samsaric experience. We know we're living birth every moment to moment to moment, but we can't identify a moment other than the one we're approaching being in gone, right? We're in that flow, and that's how we exist in our samsaric saha world. Right? We're aware that there's an entire universe and that it's immense to consider how this entire fabric of space-time, time-space, somehow produces this little tiny blue planet. And on this little tiny blue planet, stuff goes on for millions and millions and millions of years, and all of a sudden, boop, here we are. Running around crazy. And from this apparatus, we emerge a consciousness, a mind that is constructed of and aware of the construction of all of these consciousnesses, right? The eye consciousness, the ear consciousness, the feeling consciousness, the mouth, the sound, the taste, the touch consciousness, right? All these consciousnesses. But why? What for? What this complex apparatus? What's going on? Why is it even here? So we talk about something called the middle way. Okay, so there's another way besides the way that I'm weighing right now. What the heck is the middle way? Well, when you want to build a swimming pool, maybe you're up north, you got to build a whole building. So you want locker rooms and showers, and you consider all the ancillary apparatus of the swimming pool. Right? And then the costume you wear and so on. And then you dive in and you swim. And when you dive in and you swim, that's all there is swimming and having to come up for air and then being in the water. That's a whole other thing. But in Buddhism, we talk about a middle way. What's the middle way? Picture yourself floating on the water. I don't care what you're in, a plank or something that helps you to float. The point is you're floating on the water, fully conscious and aware of what's in the water and what that is like and represents. And also not unaware that you're in a building where the locker room is and the showers and right? You know the whole physicality of both environments and the experience, which is more to the point, of both environments. There's an experience of being in the pool complex, and there's an experience of being in the freaking water and swimming and needing oxygen, right? So the middle path is simply being aware of both constantly while you float on the border of both, on that, in that space, time space of being aware of both. That's the middle way. We understand the incredible mechanism of the universe and our existence, our experience in it, along with everything else, flowing along, moment to moment to moment to moment. And yet, we can experience coursing through it, always aware and fascinated and appreciative and amazed. Right? If we fall in the water, our concerns are movement and getting air. Very basic. If we're outside of it, we have a whole different idea of what is protection, what is the environment, what is required. It's a whole different thing. But the pool cannot exist without the water and the environment, and the environment cannot exist given the pool. The environment, for instance, you can't call a building, any building, an aquatic complex, lest there is aquatic going on in the complex, right? So being in the middle is knowing both, fully aware, while coursing within both, without separation, recognizing duality, but seeing them as one. Middle path, middle way. No extremes. Remember Wuji? No extremes, no externalities. Just course within them. MyoHoRenGeKyo. Why do I say all this? Because the next paragraph, Nichiren begins with a quote from the Lotus Sutra, as he often does. All Buddhas of the three time periods, regarding this as, quote, the cause and circumstance of one great matter. What is that quote from? Make their appearance in the world. Now he's going to dissect the words of this sentence from the Lotus Sutra. Again, not so much to obsess about the words, but he's going to use this opportunity, this statement in the sermon, to bring to bear the scholarship of Buddhism and once again use it as a teaching moment, how to understand what it is that the sermon was about and ultimately how we should view our own enlightenment, right? This is the self-practice. So this is a quote from the Lotus Sutra. The Buddhas, the world-honored ones, solely by virtue of the cause and circumstances of one great matter, make their advent into the world, or in the world. So how do you instantiate Buddha-ness? that suchness. How do you do it? By this sentence, solely by the cause and circumstance. So what is meant by cause and circumstance? So maybe we can get past the cultural word identification, right? The biases that may come with the words cause and circumstance. And let's see if by dissecting them through the scholarship of Nichiren's understanding of Buddhism, that we can better integrate this. Maybe we get a personal insight from understanding what is the cause and circumstance. Because according to this sentence, that's all that's needed to awaken our Buddha-ness. That's Buddha suchness, right? So let's see what Nichiren says. One, quote unquote, indicates the truth of the middle way, and also the Lotus Sutra. Why both? Because the Lotus Sutra is the self-practice, and the middle way is that self, that identified samsaric self, coursing in a bodhisattva way. The bodhisattva in this instance is a very Saha world description of you and I coursing with a mind that's fully aware that we're a manifestation in a flow of manifestations, just like everything, including this earth, this room, this entire universe, doing the same thing. We're a potential manifesting, expressing, and experiencing all at once. And that is the glorious, precious moment that we have in this life, in this apparatus, this body personal, this body external, this body the entirety of the universe, this body. We bring to bear the immensity of each moment as unfathomable, and yet, through our experience, fathoming, appreciating, witnessing, right? Great, another word, let's just take that word. What is the great? What is the great, how do you say it? The great matter. Right? All the big questions. Who am I? Why am I here? What's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Every form of it. This is the great matter. Great indicates the truth of emptiness. We've talked about emptiness a lot, right? It ain't nothing. Emptiness is a statement of a condition that walks that middle path. We know there's all this stuff manifesting around us. And yet, this stuff is a flow of energy, just like we are. So the idea that we can possess something, right? Not only can it slip right through our fingers as we go to grab it, but our fingers are doing the same thing. Emptiness is a statement about constantly flowing, instantiating, moment to moment to moment to moment. Right? The middle way. Yes, I can play like a child at having and possessing, but there's really nothing have or possessed. It's just an experience with all this other manifestation. With, not possessed, with, amongst. Whew, that's a relief. That means there's nothing for me to lose. Nothing to be afraid of. Because we're all doing the same thing, hurtling through time-space. Isn't this amazing, right? And also the teachings of the flower ornament period. Ooh, takes a moment to throw you back at the teachings. In other words, This is what Shakyamuni's been talking about since the get-go, since the first time he opened his mouth after he gained this realization, gained Buddha-ness. Oh, that's how we get rid of our stress and anxiety about everything, realizing the true nature of all phenomena, the true nature of the pool, the building, the land it's on, the earth, the others, the self. It's all, wow. Matter, next word he's going to take on, quote unquote, matter, indicates the truth of provisional existence and also the teachings of the Agama, Vaipulya, and Prajna periods. So what's the great matter? It's what Shakyamuni has been teaching about all along. This middle way. This is how the mind works. This is how our human experience works. Trying to take it out of the building and out of the water and saying, look at both. Look at how we navigate this. In the Saha world of attachment, we choose to navigate it this way. And look at all the suffering it causes. If you navigate it differently, you can release all of those tensions and anxieties about loss and fear and so on and so forth. That's the great matter. Get rid of that suffering. We're right back at the Four Noble Truths. You see, he's had the same message all along, but according to the capacity of those he taught, it was understood. You can tell I don't script these things. I just go with it. Okay? So as I understand it, sorry. This life is so funny. It really is. The above form the all-encompassing triple truth of the Buddha's lifetime teachings. So he's reiterating. Understand that the great matter that the Lotus Sutra is addressing is this deeply ingrained, really a confusion since our appearance in the world, wondering what we are, feeling a victim of everything around us, is nonsense, because we are an instantiation just as everything around us is. We're all in the same boat. We're all, in a very real matter of fact way, we're all the same stuff. We're just expressing different potential realities of the same stuff. And we get to experience one another's perception of the same stuff. How glorious, how amazing, how absolutely unfathomable. Until you experience it yourself. As you're chanting, as you're focused on your mandala, and you're clearing away a passage to your ultimate Buddha suchness, the Buddha itself, that knowing, that understanding, that suchness. And you witness your mandala jiggling around. It's not your mandala is jiggling around. It's not that your mandala isn't real. It's that your mind is shifting. Because you started out saying, I'm chanting at this mandala. And when your Buddha mind is opening, it's saying, yeah, but that's not the thing. The thing is your mind. Your Gohonzan is in here. It's your lens. It's how you perceive the middle way. Thing, not thing. Thingness, suchness. That's your Buddha mind awakening. And that way, when you start to experience that more and more, when you complete your recitation, complete your Shodai, your Daimoku, And you take that outside of Buddha-ness breath, but you want to maintain that Buddha-ness. I don't know, for me, it's like everything tingles. It's that as my body tingles, so does everything around me. It's a strange experience because we're used to this is real, this. But when we experience, when we experience that Buddha mind, suddenly it's like little photons of light everywhere. It's assembled just for the moment, and the next moment, but it could just go like a Disney film, and everything would just evaporate. Where would you be? You'd still be in it. Oh yeah, look at it all. Navigating that middle way, knowing with certainty that there's nothing to be afraid of, to be stressed about, that it's all just happening in this moment. And that moment, knowing that moment, understanding that moment, embracing that moment, that experience, that's the only thing that's real. It's hard to get the mind to fathom that. But Shakyamuni showed us, simply by this law, this MyoHoRenGeKyo, you can experience it immediately in the three bodies. Because if you experience it now, whatever you recall or hang on to from the past disappears, and whatever your fear might be of the future moment disappears, and then you can just float on the water of the pool and let it all just be what it is, expressing itself. What a glorious place to be. Let's continue. When one awakens to and knows this, he attains the fruit of Buddhahood. The fruit being not an apple or an orange, but the fruiting, the fruition of. That's what that means. And I would argue that it should say the fruition, attains the fruition of Buddhahood, not the fruit. That's a very samsaric way of thinking because that implies a physical reward. It kind of contradicts the whole thinking, doesn't it? So there's a language bias. So I would say when one awakens to and knows this, he or she attains the fruition of Buddhahood. In other words, the whole reason we're chasing that Buddhahood is to experience that middle way, which is the Buddha suchness. That's fruition. That's the coming to. That's the renge. That's the lotus flower blossoming and seeding at the same time. That's fruition. You see? We can get tripped up in these words. Even this is scholarship. It still has bias of thingness, doesn't it? Therefore, it is the fundamental purpose for the Buddha's advent in the world and the direct path for becoming a Buddha. So this is a convoluted, confusing statement. But make no mistake, the advent of Buddha in the world is your enlightenment. It's your fruition. You could say, is also indicating Shakyamuni. Why was there a human, one human, who was able to instantiate this and course in the world as this enlightened being, if not to teach others how to do the same thing? That's a bodhisattva, though. But that's what that is. That's a bodhisattva, a human like you and I, attaining Buddhahood and training everyone he met in doing exactly as he had done, the self-practice. So when Nichiren says the fundamental purpose of the Buddha's advent in the world, he's talking about the Dharma, the teaching. This had to instantiate. This is the potential of potentials. Buddha-ness. It's always been there. Original enlightenment. It's just that our manifestation, after 4-point-something billion years of evolution of this time space, we finally develop an apparatus that can perceive, oh yeah, our reason for being here, who am I, why am I here, is to perceive this very thing. The engine of reality, the engine of life, of all life. Oh yeah, relax. Oh wow, right? Now I get it. Me being here is the revolution of the human mind to understand profoundly the nature of all being. This process, it's immense, and it's personal, and I share it with everything else. That kind of way. Wow. I am not a separate thing. My perception is the perception of all things as non-dual. Although I have to live in this duality experience in order to identify. Isn't that ironic? I'm identifying a universal engine of being by being an individual to witness it. Right? Because there are not 8 billion Buddhas on this planet. There is a Buddha in this universe. This universe is just an expression of Buddha-ness, suchness. And it has all these forms. And when I realize that, what is there to fear? What is there to stress about? What is there to possess? I am possessing. I am possession of the whole thing. And the direct path for becoming Buddha. Not Buddhas, but Buddha. Cause means the all-encompassing triple truth which resides within the bodies of all living beings. This apparatus. Abiding constantly and unchanging. What's unchanging? Right? I've said over and over again, everything is in a flow. It's constantly changing. Everything is not static. It's an expression, moment to moment to moment to moment. But that engine of doing exactly that is unchanging. Do you see where we're starting to point at something middle, something else, something middle way? Everything is empty because it can't be possessed. It's a flow of energy. It's a flow of manifestations, moment to moment to moment. But that whole operation, that whole nexus of suchnesses expressing and disintegrating. That process is time-space itself. So of course this process abides throughout time and space. It's the same process, whether it's you and me or a rock. It's the same process, albeit manifesting in different potential, moment to moment. It's a big concept, right? These three truths are together termed cause. So let's go back and read the sentence again. Cause and circumstances of the one great matter. We're going to get to circumstances. So the cause is our efforts to get it, to be in that suchness, that such that we get the big picture, that relieves us of this constant craving to cling on to things and make them static, is causing all our pain. To finally understand how all of it happens along with ourselves releases us of that, to perceive the emptiness of that thinking, right? Circumstance means that although the three causes of the Buddha nature are present constantly, unless one encounters the circumstances of a good friend, he will not awaken to them or know them, nor will they become manifest. So this speaks to something Nichiren says often, like the story of the one-eyed turtle in the hollow of a specific kind of wood log floating on the water, back to water. That to encounter this teaching, to encounter this method of instantiating our Buddha suchness and perceiving it, integrating it, feeling it, being moment to moment to moment, and understanding that that's what's happening, perceiving that that's what's happening. It's almost unthinkable that that would be encountered on your own. However, if there's a lineage and a connection anywhere where somebody from Shakyamuni's day has found some transfer of that education, that knowledge, and perceives it like you or I, and we share it with one another, then we become each other's profoundly important enlightenment connection that, left to our own devices alone, the chances of our reaching this suchness, this realization of suchness, of Buddha, we're probably far too preoccupied with survival, shelter, food, sex, all of the distractions, TikTok, what you name it. All you have to do is watch a crowd of people, and how many of them are doing this, completely trapped in samsara, far too busy to consider anything different, except that someone before us, someone with us, somebody has learned a teaching, a knowledge that isn't part of all that distraction. And it kind of puts the brakes on you. Now, will you investigate? Or will you just go, leave me alone with that hocus pocus? The advent of someone sharing this teaching with you however their smarts or investigation is, the fact that you hear MyoHoRenGeKyo, a seed is planted that will never leave you, because you will have, as minute as it is, a moment of clarity. Even if you don't know that, it will stick with you. And that person, that is a friend. That is a, quote, good friend, because they are planting a seed for you to escape this illusory duality of stress, anxiety, and fear, and they've shown you the way. If you don't walk through that door, that's up to you, but the door is there and it's open. So this is a good friend, and as Nichiren points out, and as Shakyamuni pointed out, to encounter this teaching is itself the primary obstacle. So how can this teaching be fully realized and complete without being realized throughout all of humanity, past, present, and future? So how does that happen? Bodhisattva, you and I become good friends, not just to ourselves, we know what we're doing, but our influence in the greater world of ignorance, ordinary worldlings. You see, I'm using the dialogue. Our affect of our environment is, to put it in these words, the affect of a good friend. Even if I meet a total stranger and he said, what is it? What are you doing over there? What are you mumbling to yourself? Oh, it's a Buddhist chant, MyoHoRenGeKyo. Have you ever heard it? No, what is it? Namu, say it with me. Namu, yeah, MyoHoRenGeKyo. You are being a good friend. Bodhisattva. He will not awaken them or know them, nor will they become manifest. Manifest. The Buddha suchness manifest. You're manifesting constantly, but you're not manifesting with the Buddha mind, the Buddha knowledge, the Buddha suchness. This is a big dividing wall between appreciating and encountering the great, amazing life that you're experiencing, or being locked in the rapids, underwater all the time in the pool. Of course you're stressed, right? But by encountering the circumstance of a good friend, they are certain to become manifest. Therefore, such an encounter is termed circumstance. Now these 5, 1, great, matter, cause, and circumstance, being conjoined, and on encountering the rarely to be met circumstance of a good friend, what hindrance could there be to manifesting the 5 aspects of the Buddha nature? Now you notice he's singled out those 5 single words. You can guess what he's going to do with that. When springtime arrives, by encountering the circumstance of wind and rain, even grasses and trees which have no mind, all send forth sprouts, produce blossoms, and flourish luxuriantly, displaying their best appearance to the world. Fruition, right? When the autumn season arrives, by encountering the circumstance of moonlight, grasses and trees all produce fruit that ripens and nourishes all sentient beings, enabling them to sustain their lives so that ultimately they may display the virtuous functions of Buddhahood. Again, we're all connected, right? All these processes of being enlightened, planting seeds, coming to fruition. So it is even with mindless trees and grasses. how much more so with the mind, right? Which is unique to us. How much more so with human beings! Exclamation point. Although we are deluded, common mortals, all chasing after stuff, we possess mind and understanding to some small extent. It's in there. It's built in. We can distinguish good from evil, good or bad, and recognize the seasons. Moreover, prompted by karmic connections, we have been born in a land where Buddhism has spread. That's our time and place now, this era. If we meet the circumstances of a good friend, we are capable of discerning causality and attaining Buddhahood. Why then, when we encounter such a good friend, should we remain inferior even to grasses and trees? Ouch. It's quite an admonition, right? And fail to manifest the three causes of the Buddha nature we possess. This time, no matter what, you should awaken from the dream of birth and death and return to the waking reality of original enlightenment, severing the bonds of birth and death. Severing the bonds, the attachments to the physical aspect of birth and death, because from that comes wanting more, attaching to, fear of loss, on and on and on. From now on, do not ensconce your heart and doctrines found in dreams. Stop attaching yourself to money, to suchness, to status, to your desires and your wants. Shift your focus of desires and craving to single-mindedly attain Buddha. This is earthly desires are enlightenment. Again, let your one mind be united with the Buddhas of the three time periods and carry out the practice of MyoHoRenGeKyo. 5 characters. Attaining enlightenment without obstruction. Right? The difference between the two kinds of teachings, that of the Buddha's self-practice and those for instructing others, is as clear as though reflected in a mirror without obscurity. Such is the testimony of all the Buddhas of the three time periods. Keep this secret. Keep it secret. Well, I'm not doing a good job of keeping it secret, am I? But this was written the 10th month in the second year of Koan, 1279, which was about 3 years before Nichiren passed away. Cyclical sign Chuchinoto U, and it was signed with Nichiren's seal. So, why always this exhortation, keep it secret, keep it secret? In his day, Nichiren recognized, as Shakyamuni did in his day, not everyone is ready to hear this hammer of reality, right? It's hard. It's hard to conceive, especially if you're just coursing along as a human being with all of your fears and stresses and anxieties and so on and so forth, and your attachments and I need a drink and that kind of mentality where everything is an urgency, right? That's an ordinary human. So congratulations, we've all been there at some point. But if you have the great good fortune of encountering this teaching, this Dharma, this MyoHoRenGeKyo, and you take it upon yourself as an earthly mission to awaken the knowledge within it, to experience what is the experience of everything that has ever existed or will in all of time space, Whether you believe in this singular universe or you believe in a froth of many worlds and universes, the whole thought of time-space and everything that manifests within it, including you and I, understanding that mechanism, understanding our flow within it, it literally blows apart that whole ideation of possession, of having, letting go. We're just all in process. How liberating is that? That all we need do is experience it to its fullest. To bathe in the flow of life. Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo. Questions? Ask them. That's what the section beneath this video is for. Ask, use the comment section. What does this mean? What does this mean that when I wear a hat on Sundays, it doesn't matter? I don't care how ridiculous your question seems to be. Ask it. Of course, a lot of you are going to start to ask a question and it's going to answer itself as you try to ask it. So I know that many of you won't comment, but you're thinking about it. And that's the whole practice. The answer is in your daimoku. It's not in a book. It's not, if I just read this, I'll know. If I just listen to 10 more videos, I'll get it. Perhaps they will. Perhaps you'll get some inspiration from a book, or a key word will jostle you and you'll get an aha moment, an insight. I don't begrudge you that. That's the practice. But just know with absolute certainty that when all else fails, or when you just feel overwhelmed as where's the answer, all you have to do is sit in front of your mandala, unobstructed by any distractions, and chant Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo, Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo, Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo, and focus in on the myo and the whole characters and just tunnel yourself into that focus. And you'll get it. I guarantee it. So did Nichiren. So did Shakyamuni. You will experience it. Even if you can't put words to it, Shakyamuni said it. This can only be understood between Buddhas. Which is all the more incentive to get somebody with you, to chant with you. Because when it happens, both of you will look at each other and know. Who cares what words roll out of your mouth afterward? That's just stuff. The knowing, the experience, that. Namo MyoHoRenGeKyo. That's Buddhahood. It's exciting. It's liberating. It's the engine of all life. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for participating, for being here. Like, subscribe, share. Use this channel to help you, to help others, right? Yes, I have a bookstore. Yes, I have a place where you can get a mandala. You don't have to go through some test or organization. The mandala is here for all of us. It's a universal tool Nichiren spent his whole life coming to and developing so that everyone can do as Shakyamuni, as Siddhartha Gautama first set out to do. That all living beings should be able to realize this amazing process. Right? So get whatever you need to set up that quiet space, that uninterrupted, distracted space, so that you can take your mind to its maximal potential. No encumbrances, and experience the engine that runs our lives. Know with certainty who you are, what you are, why you are, all those samsaric questions. Because you'll know. Who could not want that? And those of you who are able to support this channel, however you do it, thank you for your bodhisattva work. MyoHoRenGeKyo. And with that, that completes this Gosho, by the way. But I'll find another one or something, right? And I'll be back. In the meantime, that was very, I'll be back. Should have had sunglasses on when I said that. I will see you then. Bye for now.